My name is Cynthia, and today I'm going to talk about how to balance science and intuition for healing. So, if you're watching this live, please hop on and say hello. And if you're watching on the replay, please hashtag Warriors Network. So, I'm an intuitive healer, and I love to combine science and woo to help mature women heal chronic fatigue naturally. I love the word woo, it freaks a lot of people out, and it makes me feel right at home. So let me give you a little background to start off first. I've always loved to ride the line between masculine and feminine energy. Even as a little girl, I really liked to have long curly hair. I liked to wear dresses, but I didn't act girly. I literally made mud pies and then ate them, right? So even as an adult, I still love to wear long flowy dresses and put jewelry on and feel really feminine. But in my actions, I tend to do traditionally masculine things like karate or using power tools to build something, right? So, and I drove a Jeep for a really long time. And one of the most fun things was somebody would come up beside me and then look at me and be a little bit surprised that there was a woman in the passenger seat. And to me, it always seemed weird. This is just who I am, and these are the things that I love. But it seemed to shock people that I was a woman doing things that women don't traditionally do. And I think that things are changing a lot right now. There's a lot more women doing masculine things than there used to be. So it's more normal and more accepted today than it was when I was growing up as a little girl. So it makes me happy to see that this shift is happening where we're embracing both together at the same time and we have a more balanced feminine and masculine in society. We're a long way from where we need to be, but there is a better balance today than there has been in the past. So I'm really happy to see that change taking place because it's who I've always been. It's a way that I've always lived my life in that balance. And it's not 50-50, right? I'm for sure more masculine at some times and more feminine at others. It really depends on the day, the month, the moon, all the things. Quick trivia. Do you know what the name Cynthia actually means? It means moon. Moon goddess. So I'm the moon goddess. I don't feel like a moon goddess, but I am a moon goddess. Anyway, uh, so can anybody relate to this? Am I the only one who's lived this life of this balance here between the feminine and the masculine? Or have you all been living this way too, and I just feel so different for other reasons? Because I definitely feel like I was on my own out there growing up. I did not feel the same as other people. I always felt different. And if you can't relate, let me know in the comments if you can. But if you can't relate, where do you push the boundaries in your life? Because I think for me, I really hated being boxed into traditional view of womanhood. The woman is in the kitchen doing the dishes and cooking the food. That has never been me. It never will be me. I hate doing dishes. I very rarely clean the house unless I really have to. I'm more about organization, let's pick the things up and put them away where they belong. But when it comes to mopping, go find somebody else. I don't want anything to do with it. And I hate cooking. My husband has been the cook for our entire marriage. I just really don't like cooking. It's just, I think it's me just rebelling against this version of what womanhood is supposed to look like. So I've always rode this line, and it's been a really interesting way to live life. Although lonely at times because a lot of people don't understand it. A lot of my girlfriends were like, well, that's weird. I don't have the same interests as a lot of my girlfriends because, I'm off doing karate and they're, I don't know, getting their nails done or something like that. Not that I don't ever have my nails done. I do every once in a while, but it's not a daily thing. I like to have nice long flowy hair, but I don't spend a whole lot of time doing my hair. I like to look pretty and I put on the minimum amount of makeup, but I can't spend all day doing makeup. I just don't have time for that. I don't have time for that. I don't have energy for that, and I have a lot of allergies to like chemical sensitivities. So I just don't do it. So again, let me know in the comments, can you relate to this? And if not, where do you push the boundaries? So for me, this balance shows up not just in the big things, but in the small ways that I live my life. For instance, I'm probably the most organized person you will ever meet in your life. My junk drawer is literally organized. Like I have little containers where all the miscellaneous things go and they're labeled. And I'm like I said, I'm literally the most organized person you'll ever meet. Super detail oriented, very analytical. I love to track things and see how things change over time. I was trained as a scientist. I have a BS in environmental resource science. So I learned that process when I was very young and have been using it throughout my life. I like being able to make one change at a time and see the effect. I don't like changing 3 or 4 things at once and having no idea what made the difference or didn't, right? So I've always taken a very scientific approach to everything I do in my life. I'm very analytical, like I said. So that piece of it is also in contrast to the intuitive part of me, because I've been an empath my entire life. Like I can literally feel another person's emotions in the same room with me. And if I tap into my psychic abilities, I can feel another person's emotions on the other side of the country. It doesn't matter. But the way I started, the way I grew up, was always being able to feel other people's emotions around me. And I didn't understand what it was or what was happening. I thought they were my emotions. I didn't know how to handle it. I didn't even know what an empath was, right? Like I was probably in my 30s when I heard the term empath and read a book about it and was like, oh, this is a thing. This is not normal. Not everybody's like this. So again, this is just more of my feminine side, because being an empath to me is really about feelings. And for me, that's feminine. And my intuition, for me, that's feminine. Because it's really about me feeling what I feel in my body and less about me doing the things, right? There is time and place for doing the things, but that's where my masculine side kicks in, right? There's the being and then there's the doing. And so I like to balance the two. And sometimes, I mean, there have been whole stretches of my life where I've spent more time doing the masculine things than the feminine things, or more time doing the feminine things than the masculine things. But what I find is I always feel best in my body when I come back into balance. That's really what it is for me. So, oh, and I've also been really focused on my psychic abilities for the last couple of years, trying to hone them so that I can use those abilities to heal myself and others more quickly, right? Because those abilities actually help you get to the root of the problem faster, because our bodies are super complicated. It's really hard to know what the one thing is that could change everything. And sometimes it's not just one thing, sometimes it's multiple. But intuition and psychic abilities can really, really help you get there fast. So that's why I actually use this for myself, but also in my business. I really like to do intuitive readings for people. That's where we start, because it helps me connect with people on a really deep level. I literally experience what that person is experiencing in their body, in my body. So when I connect, when I have an intuitive reading with someone, I'm connected to them on a soul level. My soul is connected to their soul, and I can literally feel their energy in my body. So I start with a scan where I sit and I scan my body to see what I feel in my body. And then as soon as I pick up a couple of things, then I let them know, this is what I picked up. Let's talk about it. Let's dig deeper. Sometimes we need to find out about it. Sometimes they'll be like, oh yeah, I had an accident and I broke that arm 3 years ago. Sometimes it's super simple. Sometimes it's more of an emotional block where we need to dig deeper and find out what emotions are tied to that particular part of their body and how we can clear it out. A lot of times we can clear emotional blocks during the reading, and people can like come away from it feeling new and have a whole new look on life around that particular issue. So my intuitive readings are transformative. They're not just about finding information. And there is a lot of clarity that comes from them, but it's not just about that. It's really about getting clarity on what's going on in the body and figuring out, number one, can we clear it? And if we can't clear it, what can we do physically, as in nutrition, detox, supplements? What can we do physically to help the body heal itself? Because our bodies are amazing. Our bodies know how to heal themselves. They're literally built to heal. And if we can get rid of the toxins that are polluting our body, making it unable to heal itself. And if we can just give it the healing foods that it needs, and sometimes supplements as well, then our body can do what it does and it can heal. And I can't impress this enough, because I feel like there are so many people out there who just don't believe that they can actually heal. Like, they never really took the time to stop and think, like, what happens when I get a cut? My hand literally heals itself. It's so easy to see, but people don't think of it that way when they're thinking of other diseases, like chronic illness type diseases like MS or chronic fatigue, neurological fatigue, some types of neuropathy. Like, people just, they've been trained to go to a medical doctor and ask that medical doctor for help. And that medical doctor is probably going to run a bunch of tests, and they may or may not find anything. If they find something, great. That means they can fix it. But if they find something, that usually means this problem has been happening in your body for a really, really, really long time, and now it's a major issue. If they can't find something, it does not mean there's nothing there. What it means is you've got an underlying issue that they can't see, that's been there, and if you don't take care of it, it could turn into something else. But now is the time to handle it before it turns into a major issue. But your body is fully capable of doing that, especially at that stage. When you're at the stage where the doctors can't find anything, I don't want to say that's a great place to be, because honestly, I have a lot of trauma around that particular thing. Like, I don't know how many times I've been to the doctors and they do all the tests and they say, I don't know what's wrong with you, it's all in your head. If I had money, $1, $20, $100 bill for every time I heard a doctor say it's all in your head, I probably wouldn't be rich, but I would have a lot more money than I have today. And it's been so, I've heard it so many times that it's now like a traumatic response for me. I don't even like going to the doctor, because I don't want to ask them for help, because they've never been able to help me. Literally, the only time I've ever been to a doctor that they've helped me was when I broke my wrist when I was a kid, and they put a cast on it and it healed. I had 2 C-sections. I had 2 boys. Definitely needed some assistance with the first one. Probably didn't need the assistance with the second one. But because I had already had 1 C-section, I had to have a second C-section because they were too close together. So, medical doctors, I'm not saying that they're bad. Medical doctors are people just like everyone else, and they literally went to school. They spent probably 7 or more years of their life learning how to help people heal so that they could do just that. They're just like me in that they want people to heal. They want to see them better. They want to help. So I love medical doctors and naturopaths and all the people out there trying to do healing work, but I don't love some of their methods, and I don't love that they don't have answers for chronically ill patients, because I've got so much trauma around being told it's all in your head, or there's nothing there. We don't. They don't ever come out and say we don't believe you, but that's basically what they're saying when they're looking at you like, well, we don't see anything. So, in other words, you can't help me. And that's really frustrating for a lot of people. So, getting off on a little bit of a tangent here, because this is something I'm super passionate about. I hope that nobody ever has to go through this where they go to multiple doctors and they can't find anything and they don't know what to do and they're just stuck. They have no answers. That's terrible, a terrible place to be. I hope nobody ever has to go through that in their life. But if you do have to go through that in your life, this is a place where you've got some stuff going on in your body. It's probably viral or bacterial. It's probably related to a toxin. And there are ways to help your body heal those things. So we're talking about chronic illness, chronic fatigue. those things are related to viruses and bacteria and toxins in your body. So I utilize the knowledge that I got, I don't know, probably 10 years of searching on my own, just reading all the books I could find. Since I was probably 17 is when I started my self-development journey, if I would call it that. I was mainly focused on thyroid back then because I had a lot of what seemed like thyroid symptoms, like hypothyroid symptoms, but I've probably been tested for hypothyroid like 30 times in my life, and I've never, except for one time, had it come up on a test where there was something wrong. It was always out of range. The doctors like to test me for it all the time because they see my eyes and I have bulging eyes, and then they get scared. Oh, you probably have thyroid issues. And it runs in my family, so that's why I've been tested so many times, because all the women in my family have thyroid issues. So anyway, I didn't mean to get off on that tangent, but I'm very passionate about that subject. So really, why am I talking about all this? The reason why is because I want you to understand that it's an integral part of how I do business and how you can heal, to use both this intuition and science to help yourself heal. It's not helpful to just use science. Like I said, if you go to a doctor and they can't find anything, then what? Then what do you do? And it's not helpful to just use intuition, because sometimes you need that medical care. Sometimes you need those scientific papers that give you that hint of where to go next. So it really is a combination of the two things that you need put together to heal. And so that's why I always start my readings. I always start my programs with an intuitive reading. So I sit down with the client, I do a reading, we identify all the things that are showing up, we clear what we can, and then we talk about nutrition and supplements and detox for the things that we can't clear. And then just focus on those from then on out. And then after that, for the rest of the time, I have a 90-day program. So the intuitive reading starts up front. And then for the rest of the time, we focus on the scientific approach, where we're basically looking at the things that have come up. And don't get me wrong, when I say scientific approach, it's more about like the method of doing things, because a lot of the information that I actually use to help people heal comes from the spirit of compassion. It's medical medium information. Anthony Williams, the medical medium, he hears a voice in his right ear that he calls spirit of compassion, and that's where the information comes from. He is not a medical doctor. I'm not a medical doctor, but that's where the information comes from. And the reason I trust that information is not only because I'm a psychic and I know myself that I can get information from source or the universe or my inner being or whatever you want to call it, God, whatever you want to call it. I know myself that I can get that information. So why wouldn't I believe that he can get information just like that? So not only do I trust him for that reason, but I have literally tested all of his protocols since before 2015, when he released his first book. I've been eating this way and removing toxins from my body since 2011, when I had really bad food allergies. So this is something I've tested in my body and for others as I've gone along. I've been doing it a really long time, and I don't just take somebody's word for it. I'm very scientific in my approach to how I handle things. I would never add 3 supplements all at once, because then you have no idea if something does crop up and there's a problem, you have no idea which one caused the issue, or you don't know how the interaction is going between the supplements. So always add 1 supplement at a time, or remove 1 supplement at a time. I mean, if you have to, if you're having a major issue and you need to remove everything, okay, that's okay. Remove everything and then start over and start bringing things back in one at a time. That's actually how I did my elimination food journey when I had food allergies, is I basically took everything out and I only brought in the things that I knew were okay for me, like fruits and vegetables and chicken. I think that was the only meat I was eating at the time. So really, that's the approach that I've taken throughout my healing journey that I've been on for a very long time. And it just keeps getting better and better and better. And using both the feminine and the masculine approach to healing is the way that I've been able to do this for myself and others. And I think there are a lot of people who just don't understand that you need both. I think there are a lot of people who just prefer to just go to the doctor, give me a pill, give me the easy button. Well, that's not available in all cases. And I would argue it's not really an easy button, it's a band aid. What you want to do is correct the root of the issue, which a lot of the times is the viruses and the bacteria and the toxins that I'm talking about. So I've never been a band aid kind of person. It makes me crazy when people look for the pills or the easy buttons. I actually really dislike taking pills. In fact, it was hard for me to get to start taking supplements because I dislike them that much. I've seen my whole family just take prescriptions for all the things, and I've seen all the side effects of those prescriptions and their bodies deteriorate. And my grandma, she had diabetes and she was on dialysis, and her body was basically falling apart, and they just kept pumping her full of more medications. And both my parents were on a ton of medication, and it's just not something I want to do. I do not like taking medication. So even in the supplements that I take and the supplements that I recommend, they are the cleanest supplements that I can find. And I've looked around, I've tried different supplements, but in the end, I actually use Vimergy supplements, the ones that the medical medium recommends, because he's also done all that testing and verified that Vimergy is super clean. And I've tested it. I've tested them in my body, and my body feels good when I use them. And I also do muscle testing to make sure that my body is okay with that particular supplement before I try it. So, like I said, a very scientific approach. I don't do anything willy-nilly, and I very rarely am one way or the other. Like, I don't focus all my energy on my feminine traits, my feminine methods, my feminine process, and I don't focus all my energy on my masculine traits, my masculine energy, and my masculine process, right? I combine the two together to create this really nice balance so that we can heal faster and get to where we want to be, right? If we're on Mattress Island, then we want to get to where maybe we can like cook for ourselves. If we're able to go out and about at the grocery store, then we want to get to the point where, maybe when we get home, we're not crashing right into bed. Or if we are at the point where we can like work a full day, then we want to get to the point where we're not crashing into bed, but now we can like go out to dinner with our husband. Or if, you can live a normal life, but you feel like you just don't have the energy to exercise or hike that mountain or do a triathlon, and you really want to do those things, then we can get you there too. So this is about going from sad to good, and then from good to great, and then from great to amazing, right? This is available, this healing is available for people at all levels. It just gets to get better and better and better, but there are steps in between. You don't get to go from bad to amazing, right? It doesn't work that way. You got to take the baby steps in between. And combining these two masculine and feminine forces together is really a great way to do it. And it's the process that I use in my business, and that's why I wanted to share it today, because it's so important to me and the way I do things. So anyway, if you loved this live, please share this video with others that you think it might help. And I have a couple different ways you can connect with me. So I'm on Instagram at Serenity Warrior Mama, and I'm have a Facebook group, a new Facebook group that I just created, which I'm actually giving this live video in right now. But if you happen to see this on the replay on YouTube, it will not be in there. But if you want to get to the Warriors Network Facebook group, it's just facebook.com/groups/the Warriors Network. And then I also have a YouTube channel where I save all my live videos into the archive. And if you just go to youtube.com/@Warriors Network, you'll get to my YouTube channel. And that's where I keep all the videos. So if you want to rewatch this, if you want to jump in and make comments later on because you didn't have time to comment or you were driving, go ahead and do that. And then if you're interested in having a guide on your healing journey, here's where I can help you. Two things. One, I talked about the intuitive reading. So some people just want intuitive readings and they feel like they've gotten enough from that. They've gotten enough clarity. They've gotten some emotional blocks cleared. They've gotten some nutritional advice. They don't feel like they need to go on. So we just do the 60-minute intuitive health reading and then they're good to go and they move on. They go do their healing on their own because they feel motivated enough and like they have enough information to go on. So those are $111 for a 60-minute intuitive health reading. And then the other way I can help is with my 90-day chronic health program. And right now for this month, I've got a scholarship going for the 90-day chronic health program. So if you are super committed to healing, but you have a financial strain that prohibits you from being able to do this on your own, I have an application where you can actually apply for a scholarship to do this 90-day program. I'm really committed to getting people the help they need, regardless of whether or not they have money. So it's really important to me that my work isn't inaccessible, right? I want to give away as much as I can for free and then only charge for people who are coming into my world and working with me one-on-one. But in this case, I want to give a scholarship to one person to work with me one-on-one so that they can get the healing that they need, even if they can't afford it. So the 90-day chronic health program, I talked a little bit about it earlier, but what it looks like is we start with the intuitive health reading, and then we meet once a week to, we come up with a plan after the intuitive health reading as to like the changes you're going to make in food, the changes you're going to make in toxins in your environment, and then if you were going to add any supplements in. We typically add those in halfway through the 90 days. And then every month we do a cleanse. So you're supported through a 9-day cleanse each month. So you can really start healing faster. Cleanses are a great way to get the toxins out fast, right? Much faster than if you're just eating sort of the medical medium way, but you're still having a little bit of fat here and there. You're still having salt here and there. The detox doesn't happen quite as fast. So we do 3 cleanses so that you can speed up the healing process, right? The idea behind it is you have a guide, me, and I help you move through it faster than you would on your own because you have my support to help you along, to answer questions when you get stuck, to help you when things feel like, oh my gosh, I'm overwhelmed and I just can't do this. So that's what I'm there for, right? So we meet weekly, time of your choosing, and based on my schedule. And then we go through the plan and we just step through the plan 1 week at a time. We talk about all the things that come up, any blocks, what's happening, and clear them out and move forward. So 90 days is a very good amount of time to start seeing symptoms reduce, right? If you're doing nothing right now, if you don't know who the medical medium is, you're going to see a huge difference in your symptoms in 90 days. A huge difference in your symptoms in 90 days if you're not doing any medical medium information right now. If you've already been doing the medical medium protocols, I will say you can still have huge results, but it's not as typical depending on what's happening. So if, for instance, you've been doing all the medical medium things and you're still not healing, chances are it's in your environment. It's probably your air or your water, or you're using the wrong supplements. It's probably one of those 3 things. It's big things, right? Big things, because if you're eating all the healing foods and you're not putting in any of the troublemaker foods, but you're still not healing, it's usually an environmental toxin. And air and water are the biggest because we use water all the time. Our bodies are made of water, and we are breathing air in and out every second of every minute of every day. So you can still have a very big healing in 90 days, even if you're already doing all the medical medium protocols right now, but you missed some things, right? And I've been here, I've done this. I was doing all the medical medium protocols and didn't realize that the filtered tap water I was drinking was not safe. And it really took me downhill over 5 years or so. So 4 years until I figured out what it was. 5, I don't know. 4 or 5 years it took me to figure out that the water I was drinking was not helpful for my body. Because I thought I was doing everything right. I thought, I was drinking filtered tap water through a Berkey water filter, and I thought it was okay. And it turns out it wasn't. So, and for a lot of reasons that I don't really want to talk about right now, because this has already been 30-minute live, and I didn't want to hold you guys up too much longer. So anyway, and also I've already got another video on the water thing. So go back and look at my profile if you want to see some other stuff on water. So yeah, and you know, there's a bunch of places in between there, right? Not doing any medical medium protocols, doing all the medical medium protocols. There's a bunch of people in between who the medical medium likes to refer to as dabblers, but dabblers are just people who haven't got it all figured out yet, right? They're trying things out. They're trying to see if it works. What he doesn't like about dabblers is that as soon as they try something and it doesn't work for them because they didn't do it correctly, then they go and tell the whole world, oh, medical medium sucks and he doesn't know anything and his stuff didn't help me. Well, okay. That's not helpful if you're not very scientific in your approach and you don't follow the protocol exactly. Like if you're putting lemon or water in your celery juice, or you're mixing your celery juice with other random things and you think it's going to do the thing that he tells you it's going to do, it's not, right? Because that's not what we do. We have straight celery juice, no water, no lemon, nothing, just straight celery juice, at least 16 ounces every day. And that's the protocol. So if you stray from the protocol, you don't get the same results. Just like if you add in a bunch of salt to all your food, you're not going to get the same results. Or if you eat a lot of avocado when he says stay low fat, you're not going to get all the results. And if you go in and out, right? If you're not able to stick to it because you haven't figured out the way that it works for you, because all your favorite foods are now off limits, like I don't know, pastries or something like that, then it can be really difficult. And sometimes you just need someone to help you step through that minefield and find the way that's going to work for you so that you can go through this fully and committed. So anyway, I'm here to help all those types of people. I really like to help people who already know medical medium information and are familiar with it all. So it's faster because I don't have to go back and explain all the things. But it doesn't matter. I've still helped people that don't know anything about medical medium. My family, for instance, they don't know anything about medical medium. They only know what I tell them. And yeah, sometimes they listen to me and sometimes they don't. And that's a whole other story for a whole other day. All right. So to wrap it up, just remember, bringing in the feminine and the masculine energy to your healing is really key, and healing fast. It's really key. So if you'd like help with that, reach out to me. Like I said, on Instagram at Serenity Warrior Mama, or my Facebook group, which is new, at facebook.com/groups/The Warriors Network, or my YouTube channel at Warriors Network. And I'm happy to connect. Or you can just literally send me a private message and say, hey, I want to know more about what you do, or I'm interested in the 90-day chronic health program. How does it work? Whatever questions you have, feel free to just send me a private message, DM me, whatever, and I'd be happy to chat with you. All right, have a fabulous weekend, and stay warm and dry because it is pretty nasty out there right now. Bye.